take notes, and try to digest and internalize some of the points that you will hear. They may be useful to you and guide you in the future. In a few years' time, the leadership of this the table will have turned. Many of you will have been the ones on the high table, and some of us will have taken the backstage at that point in time. We want to urge you that do not, just yesterday I delivered a lecture somewhere in Kaduna, and I quoted an Indian entrepreneur that said Nigeria, the world is actually categorized into three. One are the people who simply do not give a damn what happens. They're oblivious of everything. Good things are happening, they don't care. Bad things are happening, they don't simply care. He said the second group are the ones that will complain about the things that are wrong. Even the things that are not wrong, they know how to complain. And the third group are the ones that will see a problem and they get excited because they want to fix the problem. And I think many of us here in the audience should try to belong to that third group. That whenever there's a problem, lamenting and doing nothing, of course, it's not an option. Lamenting about it is also not acceptable. I think getting excited and making an attempt to be part of the solution should be where many of us should try to belong. So on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, I want to welcome Khadija back to campus, and I wish us very, very fruitful and engaging lecture session. Please take your time after the lecture to go around if you have changed slightly from what you knew, and I'm sure you will take back some very good memory of the university. Once again, I wish us very fruitful celebration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor, for your opening remarks. He called her professor. I'm sure by the time she comes for her presentation, indeed, you realize why he did. May I call on the chairman of today's event, Professor Ahmadu, the Director of the Institute of Administration, for his welcome remarks. A round of applause for him as he comes to the lecture. Thank you very much, Mr. MC. The Vice Chancellor, Professor Adamu Ahmed, ably represented here by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration, Professor Ahmadu Ibrahim, the Director of University Advancement and International Education. The distinguished guest lecturer, Ms. Khadija Haliru, the Director of University Legal Services, heads of departments here present, eminent professors here present, our distinguished invited guests, dear students, gentlemen of the press, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very honored to chair this occasion, and it gives me a pleasure to warmly welcome you all to this public lecture organized by the Faculty of Administration, Ahmadu Bello University, taking place in this historic youth hall. Kindly permit me to
begin by expressing our gratitude to the Vice Chancellor, Professor Ahmadu, under whose visionary leadership the university continues to grow in its reputation, relevance, and international reach. I also commend the Faculty of Administration, the Directorate of University Advancement and International Education for this wonderful initiative, which brings us into direct conversation with one of our own, an alumna who has not only excelled in the global arena, but who has maintained a profound connection to the ideals and aspirations of our homeland. The topic for this public lecture, Mastering Public Leadership, Building a Governance Culture that Moves Nigeria Forward, is relevant, timely, and forward-looking. Ideal public leadership is one critical area that has eluded Nigeria over the years and has thereby prevented rapid social, political, and economic development. Public leadership in Nigeria, unfortunately, is characterized by lack of accountability, lack of integrity, mistrust, devoid of empathy and strategic thinking. Ladies and gentlemen, beyond the so-called democratic leadership, Nigeria, and indeed Nigerians, desire transformational and visionary leadership. As a university, we are positioned to offer practical research-based pathways to societal challenges. This public lecture is part of that mission to generate knowledge, influence, reforms, and policy through scholarship, dialogue, and collaboration. The choice of the guest speaker, I believe, is deliberate and perfectly appropriate. Ms. Khadija Halu, an ABU alumna, business strategy consultant, leadership coach, and counselor, town of Ingersoll, Ontario, Canada. She is an embodiment of public leadership at its best. She exemplifies the highest standards of leadership within a public context. She has seen it in theory and practice in Nigeria and Canada. Therefore, in my humble opinion, she is well suited to the matter at hand. Therefore, I heartily and in a special way welcome the guest speaker to Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. We are indeed honored beyond measure to have you in our midst today. Her story is inspiring, very inspiring. From this same university where she honed her intellectual roots, she has risen to influence policy, drive leadership conversation, and shape community transformation abroad. Today, she brings that wealth of experience not as a distant observer, but as a stakeholder and a firm believer in Nigeria's potential to rise beyond its challenges. Her insights will no doubt stimulate reflection, provoke bold thinking, and challenge all of us, academics, students, public officials, and aspiring leaders, to begin a new conversation about leadership and governance that is value-based and citizen-centered. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to say that this lecture is also a call to action. It is a call for reforming our leadership ethos from transactional to transformational, from patronage to performance. We at the Institute of Administration, we see these aspirations as central to our mandate to produce ethically grounded, analytically equipped, and socially responsible leaders for Nigeria and indeed the world. It is my hope that this event will inspire further conversation and engagement between the university and the between theory and practice, between leadership and citizens. Let this lecture mark not just a ceremonial homecoming for the guest speaker, but a catalytic moment for enduring partnership and deeper dialogue. Invited guests, Mr. Vice Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, I urge us all to sit back and enjoy the presentation, and above all, reflect on how each of us can contribute to building a governance culture that truly moves Nigeria forward. I once again welcome you to this public lecture. Thank you. Before I resume my seat, the organizers have made my job very easy. I can see time allocated to each of the items on the agenda. So I hope we'll keep to time so that we can get over this quickly. I only noticed that there's no provision for question and answer. Good, it's okay. So we'll just have, well, at the discretion of the guest speaker, we may entertain maybe comments at the end of the lecture. Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, permit me now to invite in a special way the guest speaker, Ms. Khadija Haliru, the councillor of the town of Ingersoll, Ontario, Canada, to the podium.
Councillor, can you please rise for the citation? I'll be reading the citation of the councillor. Councillor Khadija Haliru is a politician, leadership coach, and an advocate for change. She is a servant councillor in the town of Ingersoll, Ontario, Canada's food capital for livestock, grains, dairy, and home to North America's pioneering electric vehicle manufacturing with GM and Toyota plants. Her work sits at the intersection of agriculture, manufacturing, and policy, mirroring the potential she sees in Nigeria's next generation of leaders. An alumna of Ahmadu Bello University, Khadija holds a BA in Public Administration and Supply Chain Management. She uses this unique blend of expertise to run purpose-driven businesses across aircraft and food manufacturing, integrating health, efficiency, and sustainability into every venture. With a growing footprint in political and community leadership, Khadija is passionate about helping young Nigerians build systems of excellence that can move the nation forward ethically, strategically, and sustainably. She brings a unique global perspective to governance, rooted in real-world service and driven by measurable impact. Khadija also made history as the first Black vice president of our party. Following her groundbreaking candidacy in the last Ontario municipal election in her riding. A round of applause for Councillor Khadija Haliru as she comes to make her presentation.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Assalamu alaikum. It is a pleasure to be here. Indeed, I'm an alumni and a very proud alumni. So today, we're gonna be talking about mastering public leadership, building a governance culture that moves Nigeria forward. And I'm sure when you hear that, you think we're going to be talking systems of governance and all of that. But today I'm going to tell you a little bit about a story. So you can find in that every single one of you, okay? Every single one of you is in my story. And I want you to see that in yourself. Because I started from Zaria Children's School. How many people know Zaria Children's School? Right there in GRA, where our parents in the 70s, exactly what we see happening abroad, but we think it's so far away. It started right here in Zaria, where our parents contributed to the PTAs. We came together for concerts and fun fairs, and there was no money. Our parents contributed. Our mothers baked cakes to sell so that the school can raise money. Parents used shoes to school to sell, used magazines, used clothes, and sold raffle tickets so that people could buy to win maybe a little gift. But the intention was to raise money to help with the school. So this is my story right from Zaria here, and that final chapter in my life still resonates back to Zaria, to the behaviors that we grew up with. And then we went to FGGC Bapori, the foundation of so many of us in the unity school systems that once was the hope and pride of this country, where the federal government thought it would be a very noble cause to bring children from all across the country, regardless of tribe or creed or wealth, into one school and mix us up so that we understood what Nigeria was. And the unity school system brought us from all states into different schools across this country. We learned that we were all equal. We may look different, we may speak different, we may come from different parts of the country, but we were all one. And today, most of my life friends come from that. And I want to recognize one of them today, sitting in the audience, traveling all the way from Ghana. I have Zichat here, also a daughter of one of our prized ABU staff. Thank you. It's a pleasure to see you. So this is what Nigeria was. And Nigeria can still be that today. Unfortunately, the systems that serve us today may have deteriorated, but I want to remind you that we once had all these things in place. And then next, you find ABU at the heart of Nigeria, the heart of West Africa, where people came from all over to get this education. To want to become an ABU alumni was a pride for so many. I'll tell you right here in the heart of Zaria, we fought for democracy. We fought for democracy. Indeed, through debates and riots. We did that because ABU was a seat for change. It was a place to dream that Nigeria could be better. And we dreamt so well, we fought, even during the military regimes, we were brave to say, no, we want democracy. We want to vote for people who we want. And we had that. It happened, right? So I know many of you may have been young children during the times we're talking, but I want to instill in you a sense of purpose today. That governance isn't just about systems of government, it is about you. It is about what you truly believe is possible. When I left the shores of Nigeria, I went into the US with no clue what was gonna happen. You know, I went with 2 young kids, and when you get to the place where this discrimination you have never ever experienced happens to you, and you're from ABU, and you're from the federal systems of governance, you grow a spine to tell them, no, you can do that to anyone else, but not me. Because I come from a place that we're proud of our education. We're proud to give back. And so you realize that people didn't even know what Nigeria was, except that we were scammers. People didn't know who we were, except that we were always sending letters to the US saying that some prince somewhere had some millions of dollars to inherit. And when people told me that, I said, that's not Nigeria. Maybe some people are beginning to impersonate us. And true till today, we find that some people have used that Nigerian name to ruin our image. But I consistently educated every single one person I met about who Nigeria was, what we stood for, who we were for all of Africa, and what we stood for even in West Africa, supporting and fighting wars and helping to install democracies after we got ours. So I want you to understand you have what it takes as a foundation. As students today, you are the future of our nation. You are the governance ingredient. So when I talk about governance today, I'm going to talk about what it means when I talk about, I'm going to have you go to the final slide so everyone can see. Of course, this session will equip you with the mindset and tools and the frameworks to lead ethically so that we can build strong governance systems that restore public trust and foster development. So how many people here are from the engineering department? No one? How many people from architecture? How many people from quantity surveyors? No quantity surveyors, okay. Urban planners in the room. Okay. So you see, this is the problem of Nigeria. Most of the time we think governance is only with the administrators. The public administrators, maybe some business administrators, some local government administrators, but every single one of us makes governance work. So I'm going to share a little example with you. When I sit on council, as the first person who's ever been there, I don't know everything. I don't know everything, but you know how I know everything? There is a staff member sitting somewhere that I can call on and say, hey, if an engineer comes and presents a lot of jargon that I might not understand, who do you think I ask? We have a chief engineer. We have an architect. We have the head of public works. We have the treasurer, right? We have the fire chief, the police chief. And so as an APU alumni, when you ask me a question or a presenter presents, my question goes to generally experiencing that presentation. I might say that's a very beautiful presentation. I kind of understood the general gist of it, but the question I have is to the chief engineer. I want to know your recommendation. Nobody did that before me. And the chief engineer was so proud to stand up to say, based on what this presentation has shown, this, and this, and that. And I recommend we do this, because if we do this, this is gonna happen, that is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen. And who do you think I listened to? Who do you think I listened to? I wanna hear from you. Who do you think I listened to? Because he's the expert. He is the man in charge of the whole town's engineering department. He is the one I listen to. So in North America, you can promise all you want. If, say, I said I was gonna build a bridge, and we were gonna build this bridge before my term was over, but somebody came and said there were this other priorities and this priority, and somebody presented how the people want this, but this is our priority, who do you think I asked? Head of Public Works, what is our priority? What is your priority? Well, I have this bridge to maintain, I have this bridge to, I have this bridge. This complaint was number 10 on my list. Maybe I could say, okay, how can we hasten it? Which projects can we, if it was an emergency, yes, we can prioritize, but he's again the same person that I listened to. Maybe we can bump number 10 up to number 7, but we're not gonna bump it to number 1 because I promised you. I'm gonna do what the expert says, right? So that is how governance works, and that is why it's important that every single one of you in this campus, whether you're an engineer, you're an accountant, whether you're an architect, you matter when it comes to governance. You can stop politicians from ripping us off. You are the reason society works. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. If an integrity-based system respects professionals, every single one of us matters. And when politicians come and go, when I studied public administration, our most core value is continuity of governance. Continuity of governance means regardless of who we are, we come and go as politicians, but the governance and the systems that work should continue. If a project starts in one administration, it shouldn't stop because another takes over. We have projects for us in the last 20 years. The community has been begging us to build this multi-million-dollar building, recreational center. Every 4 years, council wants to do it, but there's not enough money, there's not enough funding, and they put it off. And then finally, we're ready to build it. But already on council, I have just 1 year left in my 4-year term. Whenever we meet as council, we're already planning about what we do so that the next council can complete it. Nobody is saying so that when we come back next 4 years, we will complete it. We're setting the stage for the next 4 years because we're not sure we will be coming back. That is how you plan for the future. So when I sit in rooms like that and I think about Nigeria, I say, wow, I wish this was my country, where every single citizen understood the power to remove whoever they didn't like, whoever did not support the main projects that made their lives better, and voted based on integrity. And another thing is, when we are elected at the local level, the municipal level, we're not elected based on party, we're elected based on character. We're elected based on our community involvement and our volunteerism, how we've stood up to others, how we've stood up for others. And that makes you seen, that makes you heard. Now, if I trace my steps back, some people ask me, how did I run for office? I didn't plan to run. I never even dreamt of running. I was just being myself. As a Zaria Children's School girl, as a Bakori girl, and as an ABU girl. I was just giving back to my community. I was speaking up when somebody was racist. I was speaking up with the knowledge and education that I had. I was making Nigeria shine. I was cooking Nigerian jollof rice when people were having parties and bringing them to those parties. People asking me, can I have that again? Can I try that again? I even made pounded yam. And everybody started asking for the next time to bring pounded yam. I'm telling you, I made zobo. I made kunazai. I even made waina for them. I made kura nono. And I'm the only one surviving in this white town. They have never heard of Nigeria. They've never been outside. So many of them have been born, raised, and they died there. Their generations have never even been outside of this area. And we brought the world to them. And I tell the children, I go to the schools and I speak to the young children. And I say, you know what? You're so lucky because the world came to you, but you've never been to the world. So consider yourself lucky because the best of us are in the rest of the world. Africa is the best of us. Every single one of them I meet, I tell them we all descended from Africa. So I don't know why it's the racism, but because I stood firm to speak and to educate and to tell people how I felt, women came to meet me and begged me to run for office. Please, Khadija, I think you should run for office. I said, whoa, me? Yes, we think you speak our minds. And we'd like for you to, try to run for office. I had to think about it because I was so shocked. But I had a business. I've interviewed a lot of people. I've educated a lot of people about my country, about who I am, about what we stand for. And then guess what happened? They trusted me. That's all we need in politics. Not money paid to people to vote for them. Next time an election comes, find out who these individuals are. If they're people who have always wanted to shine by themselves, don't expect them to do anything for you. But if there are people who, when you look back, you see that they gave back, they did something in the community, they always tried to help, then maybe, even when they don't have a voice, know that your power can lift them up. And that's what I want to teach today, the fact that, I want the other slide to come up, sorry, the blue slide. The fact that when we start to think about democracies and systems of governance or the power of governance, we think about it in terms of people pushing us to vote for us or vote for this, but no, leadership starts with us. And so I'm gonna start with the first blue screen. all the way down. Where's Professor Abdul Razak? There's a different slide. Yes. So I want to ask you all today, simple question. All right. When you hear the word government, what first word or feeling comes to mind? Anyone can shout the answer. When you hear government, what comes to mind? I want to have it. Did you all have breakfast this morning? Okay, so let's ginger us up. So who can scream? What does governance mean to you when you hear it? Sorry? Corruption. Okay, another one? Yeah? Sorry? Power. Okay. Another one? Sorry? I didn't hear that one. Poor leadership. Okay. I'm so sorry that that's what it means to you, because that's not what governance means at all. Governance is trust. Amana. Trust. Leadership is holding the trust of the people. And that's what it should mean to you. It should almost make you feel like crying if you're giving trust, because it's a huge responsibility. And I want to say, for us as individuals now living across the world, it is a global village. It is competition amongst countries to either have trust of their people now or just not even care about their trust. And Nigeria is a beacon of hope for the rest of Africa, indeed for the whole of the Eastern Hemisphere. We need to take this seriously, and it all starts with you. And this is why the topic I'm going to really focus and hone on today is you are the country. You are the country, because ethics and service as tools for transformation is all we need. How many people can remember the Y Brigade during the first Buhari regime? You are too young, all of you. I see one hand, thank you. How many people? I know on the table, so many of us know that. Once upon a time in this country, may Allah rest his soul, Major General Muhammad Buhari came in through a coup, but he came in with a purpose. He started what we call the war against indiscipline. We were children of that era. We were in secondary school. I was a personal war brigade member. We created marching groups called squads, waking up at 5 a.m. to march. War against indiscipline was for us to caution ourselves, to reach within ourselves to correct our ills. People hated it, but you know what it did? You could be arrested for peeing on the streets. You could be arrested for throwing litter on the streets. You could be arrested for not lining up, crowding yourself over doing something like buying food, or even at the bank. You could be actually punished for that. That, maybe everybody's experience was different, but in unity schools where we were disciplined and we had no choice but to listen and learn, we are the products of Y Brigade. I could write down a senior's name. In the classroom, I could see you out there throwing something up. I could write her name. I was in Form 2, they were in Form 5, but I could write their names for punishment. So people didn't do nothing. People didn't litter. People behaved themselves. And then every Saturday, people had to come out of their homes into communities to clean gutters and allow the water to drain. People had to come out to markets and clean the markets. In this same country, we did that. It may not have been a democracy, but it's the single time in history that we have that one person was able to change our inner consciousness about what was right and wrong. Am I right? That is a simple reality. And so today I call on you to understand that sometimes we may not like our situations, but the very intention of leadership is to inspire your people. It is to reach within their soul to make sure they understand right and wrong. And one of those right and wrong, and all those things I just mentioned, are ethical behavior. Things that you can do at the personal, individual level that can think because he knew it first, and then later on we appreciated it. They say you don't appreciate what you have, lost it. I remember being in Lagos when a specific governor came in and canceled sanitation days. I wondered, why would you do that? Of all the things to cancel, cleaning our streets, everybody taking a little Saturday time to clean the streets, remove the blockage from the gutters so water can run. Why would you cancel something like that? And way back then, public administration struck again in me. I remember writing to the Guardian, complaining about that. And I remember talking so much that one day I sat down and I wrote an article and I said, our fathers have failed us. Because continuity of governance was critical to that behavior, but we stopped it. And today there's floods everywhere. Where do you think it came from? You think they asked an engineer before they canceled it? Do you think they asked a public works, maybe supervisor, would this help? Do you have staff in place to maintain these gutters if we cancel it? No. A governor just comes in and cancels it. So I'm giving you little examples of the roots of our Nigerian problem, where we do not respect continuity of governance. Everybody comes with a brand new idea and they stop whatever was right about the previous administration. And that is not how to run a successful nation. So when you take a look at the first slide there, I want you to reconnect with patriotism. This patriotic behavior that drives us to love Nigeria, and I hope and pray you do. Because without loving Nigeria as a whole, you really cannot serve it. You must first of all embody this nationhood that we have. And when you reconnect with your spirit, you understand patriotism not as a symbolic gesture, but as a behavior rooted in daily actions. Which is why I'm telling you, you wake up in the morning, you have to go to work. Work starts at 8 a.m. It doesn't matter if half the office is arriving at 11, you are at your desk at 8. You do that long enough, you'll find someone else that says, you know what? Abubakar is always in the office at 8. I really love that consistency. Me too, I'm gonna start trying to get there by 8. Soon enough, 4 or 5 people start coming. You start having a nice early morning. You get a little bit of work done. You start thinking bright ideas. When the boss comes, maybe we should tell him this. Maybe this thing is happening. Maybe we should let him know this. And all of a sudden, it's a ripple effect, right? And that just started with one person's patriotic behavior towards their job, especially if you're working for the government. That is a trust. That is a trust on you. Then we talk about education and ethical conduct, recognizing education as a privilege linked to ethical conduct and public service. This education you have today is a privilege. You're privileged to be here because you could go through the system and found yourself here admitted to ABU. When you leave here, you'll understand how powerful that is. But are you leaving here thinking, I'm done. I'm just gonna go sit at home and join the whole band of us complaining? Or are you gonna think about that job that you can use to make a difference? When my children started going into high school, I didn't ask them, what do you want to study? I asked them, what problem do you want to solve? What problem in the world do you want to solve? So that you can connect that to what you can do. And I ask you today, regardless of what you study, you are important. You are critical to governance. You are the roadblock, or you are the drain, So please think about that. Think about it deeply, because I think before we can make major strides, each of us has to accept, I have to change. And this is why I'm doing this. I'm coming to you at this stage in your life because you may not have heard it before, but you are important. doesn't matter if you're studying English or Hausa. It doesn't matter if you're studying fine arts. Guess what? This is fine art. This is beauty. History can't be taught, can't be shared without art. Every single one of you in this university is important. And this is why we're transitioning to the world of equity, equality, just trying to recognize that every single one of us is important. And I'll come to the gender issue later. So integrity in something's blocking my slide. So, no, the first slide, I'm still on the first slide.
The first slide is there. The high sense. The high sense.
All right, so while they take care of that, that's the second slide. No, not the first one. Yeah, we're still on the first one. So integrity in dilemma. Equip yourself to face the real world dilemma with integrity, adaptability, and systems thinking. And when I say systems thinking, is exactly what I described in the beginning, where you're making decisions and you have to ask. I'll give you a recent example. The treasurer is the keeper of the money, correct? And we're debating after we've created the budget, which takes a long time. And we pass the budget. And then we have this food scarcities everywhere. And in the Trump era, in fact, you can keep your food, you don't have the money. Because we ship our 80% of our produce to the United States, and now he says you don't want the money. We don't want your food if you don't pay more. So people are not willing to pay more. So people are buying. Our farmers are crying. So it's not just in Nigeria, everywhere, this problem. But when you have the former mayor of our town come to do a presentation after we pass the budget to say we need emergency funding for a new building that has freezers that we can use to quickly freeze and cool most of the produce that are excess so that the poor can line up and go there and take food, because if we don't share it, it's gonna spoil. And it's gonna cost maybe $1 million because, you know, it's like a house like this, they're gonna put refrigerators and fridges and all the excess comes there, and then it becomes like another supermarket, but it's free. So if you're low income or you're hungry, you can come and get the food. Very noble cause, right? Very important. A politician who wants to score a point can say, yes, let's do it. And everybody's, you know, we just finished the budget. And again, the question I have is, I just want to ask the treasurer, do we have any emergency funds left after what we've slated in the budget? She's like, unfortunately, we don't have anything right now till maybe. And I looked at him and I said, thank you so much for the presentation. We are unfortunately at the point where we cannot slate any. He's the president of the Rotary Club. He said, I think we should, as a community, take a look at maybe pitching in something. I think we should look at the stores to see how they can have capacity. Maybe we should take a look at some contributions. But until we can find extra money, our budget has been passed. Nothing can, except somehow, somewhere, we can decide that maybe we should do something. We have money, we have reserves. Remember, we're building a $28,000 recreational center? Every year we're putting away at least $1 million just to make sure that by 2026, when we put shovels in the ground, it starts and it finishes. And we're doing it, we've been saving that for 20 years. And everybody cries every 4 years. Everybody uses it to do the election. We're gonna make sure we build it, but guess what? Nobody has successfully built it because we need $20 million. We just hit 20 million. It's not rocket science, guys. When you have people who can be custodians of your money, you guard it with your life. When you have to make changes, now we're gonna come and say, okay, remember we have priority 1, 2, 3 that asked us for money this year. How can we include them in the budget next year? That's why before the budget starts in November, we beg the community, if you need anything, organizations, individual, nonprofits, whatever you need, put your proposals through, and we try to incorporate micro grants for those kinds of things. And so when we've allotted that, and we've passed the budget after 2-3 months of meetings, you can't come and ask us for something that is not in the budget. It's as simple as that. And we try to make sure the budget is passed by January because that money has to be available. We're not waiting till June to pass a budget. Because you have to run the government, you have to pay fees, you have to pay salaries, you have to do everything that is on the budget for that year. There's timelines, there's deadlines. Who do you think is doing all of this? It's the accountant working with the public service department heads, with the chief engineer, with the chief architect, with the fire chief, with the police chief, with everything. And so just to give you a hint, it is not as hard as you think. When I speak to students, I say, I want to bring governance to you because real people putting a vote in to vote somebody, and if you vote the wrong person, you get the wrong deal. And that now brings me to women and the whole feminist movement. We are not ever going to compete with our men. We are only able to help, support, and help find solutions to problems. When I was elected based on being a woman, because and we had 7 men on council and the mayor. 7, 8 and the mayor, 9. We talk about we don't have daycare slots. We don't have enough hospital, maybe machinery. Maybe we have a radiator or the radiation department needs a more new cancer screener, this and this and that. Women are complaining, we need to do this, we need to do that. But we had, I don't even know, 8 council members and 1 mayor. And only 1 woman has been on our council for 16 years. So when I decided to run because the women saw that I could support them in their need, I took the statistics of the town and I saw how many people are women in place, and there's 53% women and 47% men. I didn't know what I was going to campaign on, but I said, you know what? Vote Khadija Haliru because diversity matters. And people said, what does that mean? I said, diversity matters. We have had problems in this town for many years, and the problems continue to persist. The men need our help. The men need our help. So when God has created us with solution mindset, and God has given them the protection mindset, at some point, even wives tell their men how to do things. We say, you know what? Even in a sentence, we can solve huge problems. And so I ran on the fact that women's voices are needed at the table. And vote Khadija Haliru because diversity matters, not just in gender, but in age, in education, in experience, in background, and race. And when somebody asked me during the debate, almost as if to embarrass me, they lined up and they asked me, why would you say diversity matters? Because we're not a racist town. And I said, well, diversity matters in other ways. In gender, in ideas, in age, in backgrounds. We've come from far away, and we've done things before we came here. I believe I have what it takes to bring some new ideas, because the old ones ain't working. And everybody clapped and laughed, and that was my answer. But I want to let you know that for every single time you think about yourself as a different, unique individual that God has created, you have something to offer. And so I ran on women being needed. I said, women, you keep voting men, but how do you expect your problems to be solved? At least reflect the need of the town. And so I'm ready to step up to help you put your voice at the table. Another person, another woman did that. 2 other women did that because I started begging women to run or you stop complaining. And so 4 women ran and we unseated 4 men. So we have 3 men on council, 4 women. And I say to my mayor, we're not here to compete. We're here to help. So at the table, the first thing, I'm the only one who in 200 years has added a new committee to council. The first committee I proposed was a diversity committee. Mayor says, why? I'm the mayor for everyone. I said, no. I'm the only diverse one here. Your voices are drowning me already. I need a table where every voice matters. So my proposal is to create a diversity committee where every single person in town feels they have a voice, and that committee recommends to council based on issues that matter. And when we passed it, only the mayor didn't vote for it, and we passed it. And when we passed it and we put the application through, there's a new committee if you want to join. There's no age limit. Join because we want diverse voices. The first meeting we had, there's a Chinese woman on it. There's a Filipino woman who joined it. There is a Trinidad woman who joined it. There is a Pakistani Irish woman that joined it. Deputy mayor decided she wanted to be on it. She's a white woman. The mayor is automatically on all committees. It's amazing. And no man applied. In fact, the last man that applied before we started decided he didn't want to be a part of it anymore. So we are consistently bringing issues from the schools to the table, bringing issues from neighborhoods to the table, bringing issues from the hospitals, from the parks as kids are playing, issues, something broke in town, something is dangerous in town, the women are bringing it to the table. Are, doing something, we need to stop this. Cats from different homes are capturing teenagers doing something, the women are bringing it to the table. We're now creating policy based on the real experiences of the people. And that is what governance is. It is not rocket science. All that it is, those women all on that table are volunteering. We have meetings every 6 p.m. for just about 2 hours. We still leave to pray, come back. The others understand, and we have an indigenous woman on the table. In fact, I made her the chair of the committee because these are people that all of us in Canada came to steal their land. They're the indigenous people who have been almost forgotten, and now they're fighting to have their voices at the table. And this single woman with 4 kids, young, 30-something, is the chair who now speaks so much diversity in her voice. And because I have a Somali and a Trinidad woman who is like, the Black Indians, I can speak to Black issues because if I was the only one there, I would not be heard. Leadership is not easy. So global ethical leadership explores how global examples like Canada's policy system inform ethical leadership in developing nations. And I just gave you a very simple example. Compared to that example is the Nigerian Governors Forum. How many people have heard of that? Not you guys. I know you know that. How many people have heard of the Nigerian Governors Forum? Thank you. The Governors Forum represent all state governors in this country. It has a council, very similar to what we do. And I'll use that example. So the council comes together and listens to different people. You know, people bring their proposals or whatever to this council. And the DG of the council prioritizes all the issues, and they set the agenda for the monthly meetings that the governors have. That's exactly what the clerk does in our council. So every municipal government has a council, and the clerk is appointed by the provincial government, and she's the only non-staff of the town. Even my mayor can't tell her what to do. So she takes in every information from the town, and she sets the agenda. She submits all the letters that are written to us. She submits all the documents we need to read before the meeting. If people want to present to us or builders want to come present to us, everything is on the agenda. And the clerk is asked before the meeting starts, did you receive anything after the meeting started? She looks at her email, she says no, and then the meeting starts. No one is left behind. And the Governor's Council in Nigeria does exactly that. So why doesn't that happen at the local level? Development starts at the local level. And I'll tell you another little missing piece of my story. I served in Mushin local government area, Lagos State. My youth service was in the local government during the cross between Buba Marwa, the administrator, to Ahmed Bola Tinubu, your president today. And I can tell you, we were part of the movement when market women give it to Lagos State. A little bit of civic education needs to happen for you to understand the power of who you are. The Lagos women knew that the responsibility of market problems was with the local government chairman. They marched to the local government to say, we demand this, we demand that, and local government chairman has to listen to them. In fact, to me, it felt like he was only leading market women, because the power of local governance is in the hands of the local government chairman, who is supposed to oversee issues. Do you know that in the Constitution in Canada, some UK similarity, and the Nigerian Constitution is very similar? Local government is in charge of even putting your signs out. When I'm driving into town and I can't see some signs because they're blocking each other, light, it's the local government chairman not doing the job. Staff of local governance are the ones responsible for approving signs, approving roads, paving roads, and all of that. We're in charge of transportation in some places. We're in charge of hospitals. We're in charge of, so the fact that in the municipal government, everything that is closest to you and what you do is managed by us. So the fire chief, the police chief, the roads and public works, when you come to build in our town, we have to give you the permit. The engineer has to inspect every step of the way before you build your building and approve it before you can ever launch it. The architects, they all take a look at your planning, your drawings. If you're encroaching on land that is not yours, they stop you, they block you. People waste money, they come to council, and again, the planner is sitting and we tell her to do the presentation. And the question is this within our limits? Sometimes she says yes, but I recommend we put a clause because this builder might encroach. So during this meeting, we're seeing all the red signs and we're putting roadblocks so that this builder does not encroach. Not because we know the builder, we don't know the builder, and sometimes the builder has to go back and redraw his drawings because we say, no, not acceptable. So for me to come to Nigeria and I see so many buildings, you have a mall and you only have 4 parking spaces in front, is one of the pet peeves that I have in my council right now, where a lot of developers come and they say they want to build a shopping plaza, and they come and they put 20 parking lots. We require 2 parking lots per square foot. And if you come and you say, oh, you have 1.5, guess what? We tell you we're sorry. You're gonna have to abide by our rules. And you go and you lobby. There's no paying anybody. Because council is gonna go by what staff has recommended. So there's really little loophole, there's no tukuchi here, there's no bribery here. You have to do what is right by the town. Because the first time I had this challenge, a black man was sent to do the presentation. And in his presentation, he says, when we build in Toronto, or when we build in other cities, we can go with 1.5 spaces. Because I'm always defending black people, I didn't want to say anything, but because I wanted to prove that even if it's a black person, we have to stand by the rules, I had to say, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, we're not Toronto. Unfortunately, we are outskirts of Toronto. We don't have all those, high rises with underground parking and all of that. We are like a Zaria, very, very similar to Zaria. Farming mixed with education, mixed with manufacturing, just a beautiful mix. And it's rural, long driving of farmland and huge manufacturing facilities. You drive for 5 minutes, you're still driving by GM. And so sorry, we're not Toronto. People drive here. People don't really use buses because they don't park cars. We park cars. And we want to do this for the next 20 years so that there's no excessive cars on the street. So you're thinking 20 years ahead, you're thinking budget, you're thinking value system. People are trusting you to do the right thing, and you have to do the right thing. This is just an example of what ethical leadership is. So personal ownership of societal transformation is where I want to make sure you get this foundational understanding that nation is the sum of its people's values, and it wants you to take ownership of those values. Simple fact. So when women are sitting here, even more than men, as I look at the crowd, I want to invite you to step up for your community. It doesn't take money, it takes action. It takes going back home. I remember during the ASU strike, of the longest ASU strikes we had in this country. All of us that went to Zaria Children's School decided to come together to go back to Zaria Children's School and give back. I remember being the vice president of the association, and all we wanted was to go back to make sure the quality of education was still there, and we heard the PTA fighting to build a secondary school. My first challenge was raising my hand up at a PTA meeting and nobody called me to speak. I kept raising my hand and nobody called me to speak, because at that time, it was no longer about ethical leadership. It was about self-serving parents who did not or knew that their kids could not challenge the common entrance to get into better schools, wanted to have the shortcut right there. And that's when education started to deteriorate. When you don't compete, when you don't put your kids through the ringer, make sure that they have, everybody started opening a school. And so if you're here today and you've passed through all of that and you're here, then consider yourself lucky. Because don't let ABU pass through you. You have to pass through ABU. You have to make sure that whatever you're taught today is not just taught to get the degree, but look at what the teacher or lecturer is saying. Try to play it in your mind as if you were working in an office. Understand it, because it's going to be the saving grace for you tomorrow. When you have integrity and you want to lead with ethics, even the minister coming to your office, you'll be the only one bold enough to walk in and say, "Oga, because that thing is not going to work. I've been doing this maybe 10 years. I've been doing this for 8 years. I've been doing this for 12 years. The last minister wanted to do it. This problem came up. This problem came up. I just wanted to let you know that, sir." That's ethical leadership. Because if it doesn't listen to you, at least you told them. And it takes more people doing that for politicians to realize that they can't just come and turn things around. So believe in yourself. Believe in who you are today as a student, so that you can transform that into your leadership style. The confidence you have in education is what makes you stand out in a crowd. The fact that I was able to speak up, and I'll tell you right now, I'm the only one on council who has a public administration degree. 3 of them don't even have a degree. And these people don't believe Africa is even educated enough. So when you speak, and you see me respecting the public administrators because they are the staff of the town. They're the ones who run the town. Public administrators run government. And you have to let them do their job. As a politician, you're supposed to come in and respect their job, see their expertise, respect their tenures, and know that as they have the benefit of the town in mind, of the city in mind, your politician's job is to inspire them to go along with your vision. This is the vision I have. We're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But how can we get it done? I want reports, I want recommendations. That's how a politician should act. So know that it takes your vote to make something that was so horrible change for the better or change for the worse. So I want to invite you to go to the next slide. Can you expand it a little bit? I just, yes, something like that. Country is not just a government, it's a reflection. Thank you. It's a reflection of people within it, and students will explore how their daily discussions contribute to distract from national progress. So we're talking the students as a microcosm, as that nation. Cultural norms and personal accountability, reflecting on identity, attitude, and impact. So think about your community right now. Everybody to close their eyes. Close your eyes. If you close your eyes, I want you to think back home. Think back to your home, where you're coming from. If you were the local government chairman today, what is the number one problem you would solve? I want you to think like that. Instead of passing the roads and complaining, going back to your market and complaining, in front of your house, they've dug a gutter and they left it open, but you're complaining. If you had the power to go to the local government or to even write a letter to the governor and demand change, would you do it? Do you know how powerful that is? I'll tell you how I got in trouble recently. So I've been the only member of council that has been investigated. Last 6 months I was investigated because my community wrote me letters. As the first Muslim on council, a lot of Muslims felt comfortable to write me letters to say they would like us to add our voice to ceasefire in Palestine. And I wrote a motion, and I had to explain to all my white peers what it meant to some of our community to simply stop the killing. We're scrolling our phones every day, we see children, women crying. You don't have to be Palestinian to know that this is wrong and this is unjust. And I just wanted us to add our voice to ceasefire. And council was so uncomfortable with it that when it got to my motion, someone struck it down saying it was out of jurisdiction. And as a public administrator, I said, wow, everything begins with grassroots. Everything begins with the people. And I didn't get a chance to speak. So the women that all came and sat like this, because our council hosts, and then there's a hall like this. Everybody from the community sits and watches council. It's open to everybody. And then those women got up from their seats and started to walk out. And I had to say, I'm sorry, I did put the motion through. I'm sorry we didn't get to that. And then I went on my Facebook page that I created for my election. I said, vote Khadija Haliru, and then after I won, I removed the vote, and it was just Khadija Haliru, official page. I posted, I'm sorry about what happened on council tonight. I did my best to add the voice of ceasefire, but unfortunately, council's decision was, it wasn't in our jurisdiction, so we couldn't attend to it. And Mayor reported me to the Integrity Commissioner, for using my page to stir up the community, all because they were not really familiar with this whole concept. I was investigated, I was fined. They all voted to fine me because I was still defending the fact that you guys don't understand. I am the only one representing these people who wrote me. A lady wrote me from Bosnia. She says, I came to Canada in 1991 during the Bosnia-Herzegovina war, and this is traumatizing for me. Please add your voice to ceasefire. And I did. That Bosnian woman was not even a hijabi. She was a white woman like them, but she was connected to the Palestinian story. I was fined for doing that. But guess what? I'm using it to run my next election. Simple. Because the people who have not been heard all these years finally got heard, and they were fined. So I'm just telling you that either you know what you're doing or you don't, but guess what? We went to bed that night, and our Prime Minister added our voice to ceasefire. So leadership is difficult. It can be really difficult, especially when you don't have support, especially when you're alone, especially when you feel like no one sees what you're doing. But when you are on the side of history that says, I have trust and I must respect that trust, things happen and they align in your favor. And that is why between achieving an impact is leadership that is practiced in real world systems with a role play demonstration of Canadian politicians and consultation process. I just gave that to you. Simple, simple. People in the community write to us, tell us about their problems. Sometimes I get an email, it touches me. I get in my car, I go to that person's address and I say, tell me, explain more, I don't understand. And they tell me a story and I can listen for an hour. And guess what? Through those visits, I learn about what happened before me, what happened when I was a child, what happened during my grandfather was on council and he tried to do this. And history lesson. I think I'm the only one that has been getting history lesson over and over because you want to get to the bottom of something. No matter what you do, if you take leadership as an ethical responsibility, it will always come back to you, to help you, to support you. And the network you build by doing that is one by one as a Black person, I'm choosing to do that, to go to people's homes so that when they see me, they hear me, they listen, they realize, oh, okay. Next time I see a Black person, I'm not just gonna judge them. And so when I was sitting minding my business again, and the party approached me. How many people recently know Canada has a new Prime Minister? You need to watch global politics. So, again, as an immigrant, I've been in Canada As an immigrant, thank you. I've been in Canada for 20 years now. I came as an immigrant during the time the PR program was very important. You apply from here, or with the US when we applied before we came, but people apply from Nigeria, you wait 4 years, 5 years, but they call you because they take a time, it takes a while to go through everyone. And so every single person that has become a Canadian in the last 20 to 15, maybe back to 15 years, came with a plan. We all came with a plan. Either you went to school somewhere and you applied to the PR program, you waited, you got to the end, you did your medical checkup, you and your family qualified, you left and you went to Canada. So all of us obeyed the immigration rules, right? Now today, in the last 5 years, Canada still needs people, no doubt. We need people. It's a 40 million population in a land that is almost as big as West and East Africa put together, right? We need people. But they had a process of immigration. And when people started telling me, oh no, I don't want to apply, it takes too long, I'll just come to school. I kept telling people, don't do it. Come to school, yes, but make sure you put in your application. People didn't listen. And when people saw that one person got admission and came to Canada, everybody started coming to Canada for school. The school is not a pathway to immigration for Canada. Canada thinks you have money to pay them to come to school, and when you finish, you're going back home. But what has happened in the last 5 years is a lot of people came to Canada for school thinking that I'm not going back home. And all of a sudden the government is saying, hey, you're done, you need to go back. And all of a sudden your money was done. Some people sold their homes, their effort, and came to Canada. So in the last 5 years, we've had so many people fall through the system that as an elected official in the last 3 years, I've had to deal with a lot of Nigerians falling through the cracks. And when I'm saying this to you, not to say that we don't want people to come, but we want people to come the right way. So when housing started getting expensive, there was a newspaper article that found a house in Brampton. There were 22 people living in a basement that was meant for only 2 people. The Indian will say, oh, come and stay with me, come and stay with me. And 22 people, that is a fire hazard. That is, in our system, it is unacceptable. Because anything happens, those 22 people will be killed, we won't even have a record. So every single thing that happens to Indians translates a little bit to the Nigerian, because we're the 2 most populated immigrant communities. And so when the whole problem of housing started becoming a problem, guess who they blamed? Immigrant problem. I said, no ways. Immigrants are not the problem. Immigrants are the solution. They're here now. Try to find a way to bring them in, because you're going to ask people to apply still, right? But like Trump is saying, no, if you came in the wrong way, go back and come back the right way. And we're feeling the brunt of everything being blamed on us. I was crying from the mountaintops, putting on LinkedIn, immigrants are not the problem. Stop saying immigrants are the problem. And before you knew it, Trudeau, our prime minister, had to succumb. He says, well, immigrants are the problem. We are sorry, we messed up the immigration system, and as soon as he said we're sorry, they told him to resign. And so our prime minister had to resign. Can you imagine that happening here? He said he was sorry, he admitted. He made a mistake, he allowed too many students in. And then they said, okay, good, now you go. So within 3 months, we had to have an election. And while we were planning for the election to quickly leader for his party, and that leader becomes the head of the country, then he has to run a proper election to see if we agree for him to be the prime minister. It happened between January and May. And then in March, in January, after he resigned, our premier, who is the governor of Ontario, says we're going to have another election because Trump has come to cause problems and I want to be there for the next 6 years. So we just did 2 years and he wanted another election. So again, people reached out to me. Khadija, you're doing great things. People already see you, they know you. We cannot introduce a new candidate to this election. We want you to run for provincial legislature. Sure. For that Muslim woman who can see me again, for that Black person who can see me again, yes, I'll run. And so I ran for the last provincial election. We knew we were not going to win because the person in my riding has been on there for 30 years. He's a farmer. I come from a farming community, manufacturing community. He is also a farmer. He was 2 times agricultural minister. And all of us tried to unseat him. He still won 25% of the vote. But guess what? We challenged him, and my party has never gone more than 10%. I got 13%. Do you believe it's possible that you can do something like that? You have to believe it. Even if you don't believe it, just trying with the intention to inspire somebody. The next generation of change makers, the next woman, the next Muslim woman, the next hijabi. My daughter, I remember in 3rd grade, asked me, because I used to wear, you know the simple hijabs we used to wear? Mommy, I want the hijab, I was even scared for her. She says, no, I want the hijab, I want the hijab, I want to wear this. I got her some hijabs, and guess what? My daughter was one of those when she entered high school, which is our grade 9. She would sit in the mirror for like 10 minutes watching YouTube, doing the style, you know, the pin, the this. And I said, oh my God, your children are watching you, right? Just like your sisters are watching you, your children are watching you. Your younger siblings are watching you, you're in university, somebody will come to university because you're here. How many people first-time university students in their family? First generation university students? Alhamdulillah. You? Are you first time? Congratulations. Congratulations, that is a huge milestone. I know the pressure. The pressure was real. So you really have to understand, everything begins with you. Belief in yourself. And so I want to say, recognize your power. Recognize your power because values shape personal and national identity. Understand ethics as foundations for professional, civic, and political leadership. So like the question I asked you earlier, if you go back in your mind and you know that one thing has been bothering you about your community, test yourself out. Go back and say, how can I make this, yes, how can I make this different? How can I do something? Even if it means printing a poster to say, I'm looking for people interested in helping us to fix so-and-so road. Meeting, 9 a.m. Try it. You know, you go to the market, maybe talking to some women. That's yeah, I've been coming here since I was a kid. I don't like the way that this, who is responsible for this place? Ah, look at this guy, talk to him, talk to them and say, how can we make this place better? Because to be honest with you, if you start after you graduate or even now, if you have to run for office 10 years from now, you don't have to campaign. You just need to boldly walk to any party office and say, I think I want to be on the ballot. And I pray to where it doesn't matter how much money you have, because your community can fight the party to say, no, this is the person we want to stand for us. And women, you can do it even better than I did. If you start today to make your mark in your community, you do it. And so I'm teaching this already. I started a Black Opportunity Network because I go everywhere. Nigerians invite me everywhere now, and they ask me, so what can we do? And I said, I have already done something. Just join it. Because the intimidation that the Black man has against us now is we're about to take over the world. That is a true fear that they have. They have a true fear that immigrants will take over. That's why Europe is so resistant to us and our immigration. And even North America, what Trump is doing right now is based on that fear. Every Caucasian white person he's not afraid of, but he's afraid of the Latina, the Black. He's afraid of the Indians. He says, I only want the best ones. Because they're afraid that if they let us continue, we will take over. That is truly a fear that they have. So what I'm saying is, every time you want to help your people, you have to do it secretly. I don't post when I go to Nigerian groups to talk. I'm asking everybody register. I started something called bondleadership.com. You can go to my website, you can subscribe, I share information secretly to get people to want to vote or to be voted for. We have to educate each other from the within, you know, to inspire people to run and run for office and guide them and teach them and show them the way. And I tell people to join us now because we want to teach you things you can do step by step, so that by the time you're running, people say, oh yes, I know her, I know him. He's been helping us do this, he's been helping us do that, and I think he can do it. And I want us to get to a point where we believe that only graduates should run this country. Do you believe that? So why are you leaving the dropout to be your local government chairman? We have to change our mindset. If you really believe that Nigeria is worth it, and you're patriotic towards it, you have to fight. If you see someone saying, chairman, say no. Women, rise up and say no. Our men are trying to protect us. They're trying to lead us, but they need our help. And men, we are not the competition. We are partners in progress. We are people who can see differently. And just like the diversity table, every single one of us brings something different to the table. And so I want to implore you to draft an ethical plan for yourself. Link is going to be provided. Maybe if you subscribe, I'll send you a small free downloadable so that you can have a plan if you want to run for office. And then there's a public pledge of service that you can do to commit yourself to doing what you can. Come together with your peers, whatever course you're studying, start discussing about what you could possibly do. From writing to Guardian, saying our fathers have failed us, to lecturing in schools in Lagos as youth corpers, trying to inspire the next generation, to basically running my community like I did in Zaria Children's School and making sure that kids were disciplined because things were not okay. Speaking up for women when I thought somebody was quiet when they shouldn't be, all led me to where I am today. So it's no special thing that I've done. I'm not the exception. I'm just an example. So I want to thank you for listening today, and I hope I've inspired you.
Thank you very much for that presentation, and a round of applause for Chancellor please. Professor Khadija Haliru. A round of applause for her indeed. So, should we entertain a few questions? Any comments or questions from the audience, please? No questions? Can you raise your hands, please, to indicate? Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rafiat Mohammed, and it's a good one. We are happy to have you here, ma'am. But my question, yes, it could be a question, or perhaps an observation, or what I term to be coming to terms with ideal and reality. You see, an ideal situation might be your case over there in Canada. But my reality as a Nigerian, as a woman, it's a different ballgame. Yes, leadership is cross. But if you are in this list of wanting leadership or contesting for leadership position in Nigeria, you are confronted with so much. Starting from God fidelity, corruption, you having the financial backup, it's a big one. Though we know that community participation is important, but how can you enforce or wanting to bring about community participation when we as the locals, for example, the women, who I know very well, most of us as women do not have opportunity to having the right education. How do you begin community participation? How do you create awareness? Who listen to you? Who are your, who do you work with? It's difficult here. Please, let us talk reality. Thank you.
Thank you. I totally agree with you. The reality is different here. But I'll tell you, in this same halls in ABU, I was in 100 levels. when I went for a meeting. I went for a student union meeting, and they were arguing, making noise. I didn't understand why. And I put my hand up and I asked a question. Why don't you just do this or this or that? And everyone said, hey, how about? And that solved the problem. I sat down as a brand new person to that meeting, and before the meeting was over, we needed a vice president, and guess what happened? I nominate her. I said, no, I'm 100 levels. I said, no problem. I became the first vice president of this campus. So I'm telling you that if you steal the opportunity, I want every single one of you in this room to believe that you can run for office 4 years from now. If you know that you want to run for office, even in 2027, test it out. Go today, you got 2 years. Go to your local government, go to the market, start asking questions, start finding out what the problem is, start teaching people how we need to stand up and vote the right person next time. Start the conversation. Start doing things, start writing, petitions, teach them what it means. Have you watched the news where sometimes it takes one person, the whole village? I'll tell you, Lagos has come to Abuja. What has happened in Lagos for the last 50 years is what you see in Abuja today. The young people in Lagos rally. They go out into the markets. They're young graduates. You see them asking market women what should happen because they want to do something tomorrow. Even your president did that. His mother was a market woman. The power behind her is why he won Lagos State Governor. Do you know that? It could be the wrongest person you're allowing to move forward, but you have to start now. The reality is I went to North America and I never intended to run for office. But because of the things I was saying, because of the things that I was doing, same thing that happened to me in ABU happened to me in Canada. So the reality is you bloom where you are planted. Bloom where you are planted. In your neighborhood. My father, of blessed memory, may Allah rest his soul, is the reason that number 1 birthday road, the Banadine Road in Gelesu, was tarred in 1980 something. All because his local government chairman friend won and he said, Alaji Dogara was welcome at the time. And it happened until today. I don't know if they've ever tarred that road again. It takes one person. It takes one person to believe in themselves because everyone is suffering. Students, they dress up in the morning, they go to school, they're already looking like, just that thing that he was bothered about made them tar that road. So if you want to make a change in your community, like I said, close your eyes, find one thing that you can speak to and start talking. Start educating people because it will come to a time when you vote and said, no way. Before you know it, argument, you march to the office and you make a difference. So just believe you can. Stop letting those who are consistently taking over continue to rule over you because you have the power. The power is in you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for responding to that question. Because of time, we won't be taking any more questions after this. Thank you very much. I would want to
the representation of you want to ask question?
The director who happens to be the chairman for this event has a presentation for our speaker.
Thank you very much, MC. We have several awards. So I'll start with Okay, thank you very much. While the lecture was in progress, we were joined by some distinguished scholars. We have head of department, Department of Political Science. We also have head Department of Local Government and Development Studies. And also the Dean, Faculty of Life Sciences. Thank you very much. At this juncture, I will invite the Vice Chancellor, who is ably represented by the DVC Administration, Professor Doko, to come and make the presentation of gifts to our guest speaker. We have the first gift is from the Institute of Administration. She was the lead speaker at our international conference. That was some few weeks back. So I will invite Ms. Khadija Halilu to come and connect this gift.
Well, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure the lecture was a wow, right? We've been challenged individually and collectively, and she said the first step to take is to believe in ourselves. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody will believe in you. So the first step is to believe it can be done. And I think we're living here feeling very resolved at personal level that it can be done. How many of us are going to contest in 2027? Many. I'm sure we're very inspired. Thank you very much for your speech. On behalf of the Institute of Administration, I present this certificate of honor in recognition of your contribution as lead paper presenter. Can we have some silence? I will also contest in 2027, so we're many. We will talk about it later, okay? So thank you very much for your presentations.
Okay, I will invite also the Dr. Sanaba to join us in the presentation. While the DVC representing the Vice Chancellor also present this, but I want Director University Advancement and International Education to join us, please.
This is an appreciation for being an alumni guest lecturer at the public lecture organized by the Faculty of Administration, Ahmadu Bello University, today, 4th August 2025. Thank you very much.
Okay, the student of the Faculty of Administration, she also going to make their presentation.
Good day, everyone. I'm Comrade Magaji Hussein Mohammed, the President, Faculty of Administration Students Association, FASA. On behalf of the entire members of Faculty of Administration Students Association, FASA, the executives and also the appointees, we present this award of excellence to you as an icon of humanitarian service and epitome of good leadership.
round of applause for the Chancellor as she takes her seat. Thank you very much for those presentations. May I call on the Dean of the Faculty of Administration, Professor M.K. Issa, for the vote of thanks. Dean, sir.
Thank you, great Nigerian students. My task here is very simple. Has brought us to this point where we've taken the lecture. And for granting us this opportunity to have this lecture and to show you that you can be better than Councillor Hadija in the next 10 years to come. And she's coming here to show herself as an example, as a model, as something worthy of copy. And I'm so happy that a lot of young girls, young ladies in this hall, and that you can see when we tell you to study, to listen, and to follow our guide, that these guides will make you succeed in life. And you are going to confront challenges. We are training you to be able to confront and take up those challenges as they come in life. If you listen to her at every point in time, each of the courses she was taught prepared her for the life challenges she met along her path. And this is what has made her successful in life. And so we are looking forward to a situation that, inshallah, God on our side, many of you will be United Nations Secretary General. Perhaps in this hall today, we are going to have the first female president of Nigeria. And don't be pulled back by the fact that you are a woman. You are my student and you are a lecturer. In Singapore, in Indonesia, which is the largest Muslim country in the world, they have produced a woman as a prime minister. So it's not impossible. If it can happen anywhere, somewhere else, it will surely happen here. So let's start the walk. Let's talk, let's walk the talk and get the going, inshallah. So we thank Allah. But very importantly, we want to thank the Vice Chancellor for approving this event and approving this occasion. As soon as we engaged him, he was very happy. In fact, he would have loved to be here to listen himself and get engaged with the issues. But unfortunately, greater challenges and greater needs of the university have pulled him out. But he's with us here. And he's ably represented by somebody I know who is capable also, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Admin, and who's also in tune with this. So we thank the Vice Chancellor and the entire management of the university for granting us this opportunity to host this event. And very importantly, I want to thank the heads of department in the faculty and the entire faculty of admin. When I proposed this idea at the faculty board meeting, everybody acclaimed and supported the idea to have this public lecture. And no sooner than that, we opened the chair and the position for a faculty conference, seminar, and public lecture officer. And a very able and capable person was appointed, Dr. Ahmadu, and he has been up and doing. in making sure. In fact, from the way she's clapping, you know, he did a very good job being our ambassador at the faculty. I would like to appreciate him too. I appreciate the HODs and all other staffs, and I appreciate the students of the Faculty of Admin. As soon as we said Councillor Khadija is a product of Faculty of Admin, so we want to do something. We want to show her love. I said, go ahead. And I'm very happy. And they didn't show me what they were going to do, you know. I'm just saying this for the first time. But they told me that we want to show her we are her siblings and we are happy, we want to associate with her. And I'm very happy and proud of what you have done. Kudos to Faculty of Admin Student Association. But very importantly, very importantly, we want to thank Councillor Khadija for identifying with her base. She was born in Zaria. She schooled in Zaria, grew in Zaria, went through ABU, and flew out of the country. But she, you know, many people will fly out and never look back. Please give her Bosa for looking back and coming back. We really appreciate you for looking back and remembering what we have done for you. Please, great Nigerian student, copy from Councillor Khadija. When you leave this place, remember we build you. Look back. Some of us looked back. I left a job of 31,000 naira, Continental Merchant Bank, to come back and start employment as a lecturer and collect 480 naira. Just to give back to the system. So we've been giving back. When you leave, remember this place. That's the essence. Look back and come back and give back. She came for a function in Nigeria at the Diaspora Commission. And she told me, I cannot come to Nigeria without coming to Zaria and without coming to ABU and tell my story. She has told you her story. What have you learned from it? And what lessons have you taken from it? She has challenged you to contest. Start. We have a law signed by President Buhari, not too young to run. That is a very good place for you to start running as councillor. I once told the Nigerian Youth Parliament, take over all the councillorship and the local government council as youth. Governors will look for you. When they come to you for vote, tell them how many commissioners are you going to give us as youth? How many special assistants are you going to give us? How many? And then you take over the state gradually. When you take over the state, then you take over the country, inshallah. God bless you all. And I want to thank all of you for coming here. May Almighty Allah take us back to our various destinations safely. Now, there is a unit of the university which is in charge of alumni relations and advancement and development and linkages. As soon as the Vice Chancellor got running and I discussed this idea, I said, what do you think? I said, well, I think the Directorate of University Advancement, now Directorate of Advancement and International Education will be suited because she's not only coming back as one of us, she's also an alumna of the university now. And we want to start cultivating that. We want her to champion that same energy, build that same thing for us in Canada, and be the ambassador of Ahmadu Bello University in Canada. So the directorate was involved. If you are chewing anything now, thanks to the Directorate of University Advancement. If you are drinking something, thanks to the Directorate of Advancement and International Education. So we want to thank the Directorate for being a father, for being a leader, and for being there for us when we needed him. He came in when we actually needed them. So we thank the Director, Advancement and International Education. Please give him a resounding applause. That means you have chewed something. Please, another one again to show that we have chewed something. Now, in his directorate, there are two wonderful madams who made this event successful. Hajia Binta and the other lady. I'm sorry I don't know the name, but Hafsat, right? Haja Hafsat, please stand up for recognition on behalf of Haja Binta and myself. You know, where women are, life will go smoothly. Life will surely go what? Smoothly. So things went smoothly for us. Now, lastly, we want to thank the Protocol Office and the Public Affairs Unit. Without them, all the banners, all the posters you have seen, and all the coverage, video coverage would not have been there. And live streaming, you are online now, you're on Facebook and so on. The whole world is watching us. So we want to thank them. Give them a resounding applause, please. These are people that are barely recognized in events in ABU. We want to start recognizing the Protocol and Public Affairs Unit. Thank you and God bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, especially for recognizing Public Affairs Directorate. We're very grateful. We've come to the end of the event and we'll take a minute to also pray according to the dictates of our individual faiths as we leave. Sorry, one announcement before we pray.
For the great Nigerian student, Councillor Khadija has said anybody who wants to reach out to her for further engagement and advice from students and mentorship, she's open, and you can reach her through her PA who is here, and she'll share contacts with you, and you can continue the engagement. Apart from her online visible platform, she can create an avenue where you as ABU student can continue to engage her, and she'll provide further mentorship. Please, a round of applause for her.
After the closing prayer, we will take a group photograph just at the front here, high table and others. 1 minute to pray according to the dictates of individual faiths, please. Thank you very much. We'll take the group photograph, please.